can you hear me now? The things I left unsaid, I still wonder, can you hear me now? Calling out your name, but I don't believe that things would be the same again. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, feelings in the way I can't explain. It's better not to say it loud. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Jheeni Jheeni Veeni Chadariya, Jheeni Jheeni Veeni Chadariya, Sada Ram Ras Veeni Chadariya, Sada Ram Ras Veeni Chadariya, Jheeni Jheeni Veeni Chadariya.
That was really awesome. Jonita Gandhi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jonita, the new song, Jheeni Jheeni, which is of course a fusion number. Please tell us about the song and collaborating with Salim Suleiman, who has come up with this beautiful album.
Yes, so this is a song as a part of an album called Bhumi 2020. So this specific song was apparently, as they told me, one of the first songs that they composed. So it's a really interesting album, like you said, full of fusion. And I think it's fusion in a very new and fresh way. And I'm very, very proud to be part of it. This is one of my favorite songs that I've ever sung outside of the film space. And Salim Suleiman, they're amazing to work with. I mean, they're so good at combining sounds. And I think that's why this album has come out so beautifully.
Do you think Indian audiences are ready to embrace songs in English by Indian singers?
I think so. I think there's a good niche market, I would call it still, because it's kind of small, of people who are of Indian descent, but they enjoy listening to English music. I know a lot of people across India listen to a lot of English music from outside of India. So I don't see why they wouldn't want to hear it from within the country as well. I know since I've started, garnering more of the Indian audience, I've been doing a lot of covers, and I always try to mix it up and include languages that are close to me, like English, because I grew up speaking and thinking in English and singing in English. So, but other than English as well, Hindi, Punjabi, like all the regional languages as well. For me, it's just about communicating through the music and not necessarily just restricting yourself to a language. So,
you have sung in so many multiple languages. What, according to you, are the must-haves to be a singer in today's age?
Basic requirements, in my opinion, is to be hardworking. I think that's even more important than being talented these days, to be honest. But also, as a new singer, my one piece of advice would be to find your own voice, to find what makes you different from everyone else. It's okay to take people as inspiration, to listen to different people and follow them and get inspired by them and maybe even copy some things that they're doing. But you have to remember that there's no point in being the second version of someone else. And I think bringing something unique to the table and really combining what makes you with what you like of all the people that you listen to, I think that would be a great thing for you to do, to create your own sound.
What is the difference between a Western classical singing and Indian classical singing?
There's a lot of difference in just the way that we learn as well. In projection, I feel like the type of voice that you need to sing Western classical versus Hindustani classical is very different. Projection is a huge different thing as well. Like in Indian classical, you have rags, and you don't have rags in Western classical. Like in Hindustani classical, even here and there, the first thing you learn is how to hold a note, and how to control the sound and how much air you should put into the projection of that note. So in Hindustani classical, we start by singing sa, for example. And there we start by singing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Here it's sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So there's similarities, but definitely style and technique differs, yeah. दिल पे पत्थर रख के मुंह पे मेकअप कर लिया, अरे दिल पे पत्थर रख के मुंह पे मेकअप कर लिया, मेरे सैया जी से आज मैंने ब्रेकअप कर लिया, सुबह सवेरे उठ के मैंने ये सब कर लिया, वो मेरे सैया जी से आज मैंने ब्रेकअप कर लिया.
Looking at your filmography, it looks like you're A.R. Rahman's favorite. I think you have sung a lot of songs with A.R. Rahman than any other music composer. What I want to ask you is...
I feel like that means he's my favorite more than that I'm his.
What is the difference of recording a song with A.R. Rahman compared to somebody in Bollywood, somebody like a Preetham?
The unique thing about that question is really hard to answer because even within the same composer, each session is often very different. But what ends up happening is the more you work with someone. So for me, working with Pritam Da versus working with Rahman sir, just the sheer fact that I've worked with Rahman sir more in the studio, there are certain things that I feel like he can take more liberties and he can ask me to do certain things that he already knows, is within my comfort zone. With Pritam Da, maybe we won't have explored it. So that's mainly the only difference. Of course, as composers, they're very different in terms of how hands-on they are and stuff like that, and how they communicate. And that would be getting too specific. But I do think that with A.R. Rahman sir, I had more experiences and I've done very different things with him in terms of languages as well. And we also performed together on stage. So that's just a different dynamic altogether. मैंने भी तो आना था इसी तरफ, मेरी भी तो राहें हैं यही कहीं, उलझनों के दो राहें, रास्तों की ये बाहें, आते जाते पूछती मैं कहाँ, कहाँ हूँ मैं अब, कहाँ हूँ मैं, कहाँ हूँ मैं अब, आहें डर खुशी रास्ते, कच्ची बातें सच्ची वास्ते, कहीं पे इन सब में कहाँ हूँ मैं.
You've also sung a song for OK Kanmani.
Yes.
And a very peppy number, which was meant in Manadhil.
That song actually was my first Tamil film song. And when I went to Chennai, this is my theory. I'm not sure, I'm not really confirmed it yet with AR sir. But I went to Chennai, I think for a different project. I don't know, because he's always working on so many things at the same time. And I think the song that I went there for wasn't ready for me when I got there. So I think he had this idea last minute to do a female version of this song called Mental Manadhil, which was already recorded in his voice for OK Kanmani. And then they added a female portion of March, just a la la, like a la la. So we just recorded that. And then he had the idea to do an entire female version of the song. And then that ended up being my debut in Hollywood. And it's such a fun song. And I think still to this day, it's one of the songs that I'm known for in the Tamil audiences. So, and it's a really fun song. I'll sing you a few lines. Mana 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 mental manadil, laka polla bayadil, taka kutto misayil, okay en kalvanin madiyil, mana mental manadil, laka polla bayadil, taka kutto misayil, okay en kalvanin madiyil, நேற்று என்பது இன்றில்லை, நாளை நினைப்பேன் ஓ தொல்லை, like my la இன்று மட்டும் king and queen la la, like la.
You know, we often ask actors, how do they reinvent themselves? The same question I want to put you. How do singers reinvent themselves?
Sometimes it's just a matter of exploring a new genre. It's a matter of taking time off from kind of the commitments that we have to introspect and rediscover kind of what we want to do. And I think lockdown actually was a great time for that for me personally. I recently experienced that, so I'm glad you asked this. I feel like it was a great time for me to reinvent myself in the way that I took a step back from all the things that I was doing, because what happens is, as a musician or as a busy person, as an artist in general, a busy artist, working artist, we have commitments that we've decided we need to follow through on, of course. And so what happens is it becomes part of a machinery where it's like, okay, now I'm doing this, like this is what we're supposed to do. But sometimes it's very important to kind of take a break, step back and reevaluate. But is this what I want to do? What is it that I really want to do? What is it that makes me love my craft? And I think once you introspect like that, that's when you start to reinvent. And that's when you start to realize, okay, this is what I really want to do. And let's do it in a new way.
Thank you so much, Jonita Gandhi.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Thank you.